Thank you, Dr. Chaitra. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. See.
Yeah, okay, fine. So this is the third year in a row I'm giving this talk about like when is the ideal time to switch drugs for DME. I thought I'm going to get bored and nothing new is going to come up, but like surprisingly every year something new comes up. So here we have a patient who has this intraretinal cystoid spaces, IRF, and we gave a bevacizumab and patient responded. So there's no issue in such patients when the patient responds so beautifully. And here's another patient where the patient worsens despite the treatment. So here again, we don't have a confusion. So the patient worsens, obviously the drug is not working, you want to change. The problem comes when the patients are like this. So there is some response, but there is still intraretinal fluid and subretinal fluid, and it has not gone down completely. So these are the patients where we have a confusion whether we're going to switch to another drug or not. So when we looked at the switch criteria, there is no uniform criteria. There are 3 different studies I'm quoting here. So they looked at the central macular thickness as the criteria for switching. One study says if there is less than 20% central macular thickness reduction after 3 injections, then you think of switching. Another study says if there's worsening, then the central subfoveal thickness worsens by about 10%, then you think of switching. Another study looks at it differently, which says less than 50% reduction in excess macular thickness after 3 to 4 monthly injection, then you think of switching. And there are criteria to switch based on vision as well. So the first study says if there is less than 5 letter gain of vision, then you switch. The second one says if there is loss of more than 5 letters, then you think of switching. And the third one, if it is not improving to 20/40, then you think of switching. So it's either or. So it's either vision gain or there is no improvement in CMT. One of these things, then you think of switching to another injection is what all the studies have said. There's no uniform criteria as I mentioned. So I hope that all of you are with me so far. So, but then before we think of switching, came up this protocol V. So do we switch in eyes with good vision? So protocol V took up these treatment naive eyes, which had visual acuity better than 6/7.5. So the comparison of aflibercept versus laser versus observation. And surprisingly, 2/3 of the observation eyes and 3/4 of the laser eyes maintained this 6/7.5, which is an excellent vision over the next 2 years without any treatment. So persistent edema in the presence of good vision, that is vision with better than 6/7.5, there's no need to switch. We can stop treatment and observe. And if there is a vision loss of 10 letters in one visit or 5 to 9 letters on subsequent 2 visits, then you need to think of reinstating the treatment. The key is to follow up these patients initially at 8 weeks to make sure that they're not worsening, they're not losing vision, and subsequently they're stable, we can increase the duration of follow-up to 16 weeks. Follow-up is the key here. We need to make a distinction. So here we talked about persistent edema with a vision of 6/7.5 or better, even if there is center involving macular edema. But if there is a non-center involving macular edema, then we go ahead and do a laser photocoagulation and we don't observe these patients. So I hope you're still with me. So next question is switch after how many injections? Most of the studies say about 5 injections, and the studies done in Asia Pacific, we are a little bit impatient, probably because of financial reasons. So we switch after 2 to 3 injections. So does the switch work? Most of the studies where they have switched to another agent say, yes, it works. Patient's vision improves and the central macular thickness also improves. But then there are contrarian views. Here is a study where they have continued the same treatment in a particular bunch of patients, and other patients switched also. So here we see that eyes that appeared refractory at 3 to 6 months after injection. That is usually the time when we switch. After 3 injections, we switch. The studies abroad have said that after 5 injections, you switch. So at the time when we wanted to switch, if you continue the same injection, what happens? So subsequent to another 3 months, there is a visual gain. So continuing the same agent for another 3 months resulted in 3 to 5 letter gain, and the central macular thickness also decreased. There's yet another study where they have found that the most of the improvement following anti-VEGF agents happens in the first 6 months. And subsequently, if you continue the same treatment, once again, 3.4 letter improvement, that's about 3 to 5 letter improvement is what you can gain in the subsequent years if you continue on the same treatment or switch to another agent. So in this study, we found that persistent edema over 2 years, bevacizumab of 2/3 of the patients on bevacizumab and ranibizumab and aflibercept, half of these eyes continued to have edema. but the edema resulted in only about 3.3% of the patients losing vision. So the edema can be there, we can tolerate fluid, but doesn't mean that like all these patients, we need to have a dry macula. And for the dry macula, we need to switch to another agent. So what is the caveat in continuing the same treatment if we decide to continue the same treatment? Yes, it's another additional 8 to 10 injections because another 3 or 5 months you have to continue the treatment, and added cost of the treatment as well, and difficulty in convincing the patients for continued treatment when we don't see an effect on the OCT because the patients have become familiar to reading the OCT themselves. So switch or not to switch, visual acuity more than 6 by 7.5 and persistent edema, we can watch. No, we need not consider switching, we can stop the treatment and see what's happening. Visual acuity less than 6 by 7.5 and persistent edema, then we would probably consider switching, particularly if it is less than 6 months. As I mentioned, most of the improvement with anti-VEGF agents happens in the first 6 months, and we give these injections and find that the patient's vision is less than 6 by 7.5, and the edema is not improving, then we probably consider switching. After 6 months, probably doesn't make much of a difference. I hope all of you are still with me. That's amazing. Switch to what? I thought it was 10 minutes. Switch to what? The general trend is to switch from bevacizumab to ranibizumab to aflibercept. So there is a meta-analysis which was published recently where they have switched eyes which were on bevacizumab, ranibizumab to aflibercept, and found that the visual acuity improves by about 0.1 logmar over 6 months and 0.08 logmar over 12 months, and central macular thickness also decreased. And studies have shown that visual acuity less than 6 by 12, aflibercept is better. So do we switch if improvement is less than 6 by 12 in patients who are on bevacizumab or ranibizumab? Is a consideration we need to think. So on a lighter note, what the studies seem to say is visual acuity better than 6.5, don't treat, watch. Visual acuity is less than 6 by 12, aflibercept is better in the first 2 years. So corollary is switch to aflibercept if visual acuity is still less than 6 by 12 after treatment, and switch to ranibizumab, visual acuity is better than 6 by 7.5 and less than 6 by 12, which is around 6 by 9. So there's one small group of patients who can probably think of treating with ranibizumab. And do we switch to steroid? Yes. And we can switch back to anti-VEGF? Yes. Both seem to work. After reading all these papers, and you think that like we're puppet somewhere and the puppeteer is somewhere else, I'm sure you can draw your own conclusions based on this. So when would I switch to steroids? If there was a recent vascular event, if the patient is pregnant, if there is DME with cataract surgery, if you're unable to follow up, the patient is unable to follow up closely and poor response to anti-VEGF. And maybe I will switch to steroids if there are hyperreflective dots, significant hard exudates, and neurosensory detachment, because there is some evidence to say that these presence of these factors, the patients respond better to steroids. So hyperreflective dots, one of our studies showed that like 4 times less number of treatment is required. And hard exudates, yes, they tend to resolve better with steroids, but even with anti-VEGF, they do resolve, but a little longer, a little later, that's all. But we need to consider the cost of the switch. This was a study which looked at the cost of the switch. Here it includes the treatment cost, the OCT cost, and if there are complications, managing the complications cost also. For instance, DEX implant or fluocinolone implant, anti-glaucoma medication cost was also included. So steroids are the least expensive to switch to, and fluocinolone, we don't have it in India as yet. And of course, there is always a small subgroup where we have to switch to surgery, where there is a thickened posterior hyaloid, which is not allowing the anti-VEGF to work effectively. And there is a tractional component. Yes, we need to go ahead and switch to surgery and subsequently follow it up with anti-VEGF agents also. So this is, and particularly in PDR patients, the posterior hyaloid that does play a significant role, and removing it seems to work wonders in these patients. To summarize, switch to another agent does seem to improve visual acuity and central macular thickness, and switch after 3 months and less than 6 months of first 6 months of treatment based on the visual acuity or CMT based criteria. As I showed, there are multiple criteria, and best is to make our own criteria. So what would I switch to? Switch to another anti-VEGF or steroid depending on what is required in that particular patient. I need to switch if the patient vision is 6 by 7.5, I would probably stop treatment. On the other hand, there is a recent 5-year outcomes of the protocol T, which are published. And what you see is whatever you do, you treat all the patients with different agents, and 5 years later, all seem to be ending up in the same final destination. So we need to think before we switch or considering a particular treatment. So if not anything, I hope that I have helped you in your Sunday haircut, and thank you very much.